Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for December 29th, 2023, last one of the year. I'm Benji Fisher, sharing my screen and moderating, and also here are Aaron McHale, Ralph Kohler, and Thomas Howell. So I think we'll start by revisiting this issue. Existing field items should not be validated when adding another item in widget for unlimited cardinality field. That issue title is kind of long. The issue number for the sake of the recording is 307-6054. And let me share a link first in the Zoom chat. And this is the site I've set up locally. As usual, you can log in as admin. And let me start with the current behavior. And I guess first let me look at the admin page. So I've started with the standard profile, and I've added an integer.
Benji?
Yes.
The issue is still shown and not the admin interface.
Oh, that's odd. All right, let me stop the screen share and restart it. See if that helps. Oh. Okay, so now you see the Manage Fields page, I hope.
Yes, thank you.
And now you see the issue again?
Yep.
Okay, I know what happened. I actually had the issue open in two separate windows so that I could read the instructions and test it. Okay, so I've started with the standard profile, and I've added an integer field. It has unlimited cardinality, and it's marked required. So here I have an article node, and if I edit it, and suppose that I know that I want to have several different values for this multiple value field, and I click add another item a few times, and maybe I leave one of them blank. And then I try to save. That's odd. I thought I would get a validation error. Let me read the description again. Create a field in the content type, cardinality unlimited, make it required field. I did that. Create a node. Add another item without filling in any data. It will block add another item by highlighting the field, but there won't be a status message. And that did not happen. I could add another item as many times as I like, and I did not get the behavior described on the issue. So is it possible that something has changed since this since the last time we looked at this issue? Go ahead.
Could you leave the first value empty or clear the first value? I think there I noticed the issue still.
You might want to start with something brand new. Just
Okay.
quick content type or content piece of content.
Okay. So good point. It's when you don't currently have anything in the field and you click the add another item button, you get this highlighted, this field gets highlighted, but there's no message. Okay. So that's the current behavior.
I have two brief questions about additional tests. It doesn't describe what happens if you don't make the integer field required. So is that same error going to get thrown with integer not required? And what happens in the event that you put one, so you put 19 here, does that only happen if the first thing is required and it's blank? So is this the only situation in which that occurs?
Okay, let's see. So I'm still on the current branch. If I don't make it required, that was your first question, right?
Correct.
Let me force reload the page just in case. And if it's not required, then I can go ahead and add several. So that answers your first question, right? You're muted. And then what was the second
Correct.
question?
I don't think the second question matters because I think the other instance basically tested is if you fill out just the first field, do the subsequent ones work without the error? So the only situation that throws an error, and the only question I bring that up is I needed to know that for when we're reviewing the potential fix. So I don't think you need my second test. Thank you.
Okay. So let me switch to the merge request. Force reload the page again. And now, so it's still not marked required, so the behavior doesn't really change. But if I edit it and make it required again, save the settings. So now it's again required. You see the little asterisk next to the field name. And I can go ahead and add additional elements. So, so that's the intended change. We can now add things, even if the first one is empty. So I think we reviewed this before and agreed that this was a good change. Does anyone want to revisit that discussion or ask further questions for context? And the reason this issue came up again is that someone noticed in manual testing a little bit of odd behavior. And let me go back to the issue
Comment
it's-
number 80.
Right, it's number 78 where it was first pointed out, and 80 gives explicit steps to reproduce. So I've done the first two steps, create a new article, press add another item, enter a number value in the second field, leaving the first one blank, and try to save. So what happens now, and I guess I should put in the title. And when I save, I will get a validation error in the first field. And it's only the first field. If I have something in the first and third fields, for example, then the empty second field is not going to trigger an error. It lets me save, no problem. So, so the question is whether fixing that can be postponed to a follow-up issue, or whether now that we've given the ability to add a bunch of empty fields, whether we have to fix that behavior as part of the current issue. Go ahead, Ralph.
Just one addition in point number 8. Godot is late also suggested a step to, if you add a new node and apply those steps to add the no validate attribute to the form element in DevTools and try to save them again.
And it's an attribute, right? Is that right? No validate equals true. Adding the no validate attribute to the form or to the input? I'm adding it to the input. Well, let's try this. Okay, so maybe it has to be added to the form element, table body, table row, I guess forms. Div form, here's the form element. Through. Try that. Or did that not work? ID class, data Drupal selector, blah, 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 method, data Drupal once. Here it is, no validate equals true. No, it seems to be giving me a validation error. Despite adding the no validate, unless unless the page reloaded. I guess the page keeps reloading. And then I get an error message rather than a validation message. So any other questions or tests to run? And it's this special behavior of the first element. I can leave any of the others empty. And it saves with no error, but the first one is still marked required, I guess. So is that something that should be fixed as part of this issue, or is the improvement here enough that it's a step forward and we can defer this to a follow-up issue? Go ahead, Thomas.
Very briefly, the only concern that I have is the law of unintended consequences, because I don't understand what exactly the patches change, like where are the patches changing the code. That's the only point I'd make. What I'm seeing looks reasonable, so I'd give it a thumbs up.
Okay, well, we are not responsible for code review, or I guess we're not even responsible for unintended consequences. That's part of the job of code review. So just the behavior we see, you vote that this is good enough and you're giving a thumbs up. I think I agree. It's a step forward. I'd like to see this fixed, but I think it could be deferred. Aaron, Ralph, agree, disagree, not care?
I don't have strong feelings, but everything so far sounds good.
Okay,
Yep, same from my end.
okay. Okay, I will add a comment saying that that we think it can be done in a follow-up issue. So let's see. So we wanted to have hopefully a quick look at the issue we talked, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe it was 1 week ago.
It was last week.
It was? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to share your screen, or shall I find the issue?
I could. 1 second. Shall I reset my instance and that we take another look, or no, it doesn't have this necessary. 1 second. Check. Share my screen. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. One second. Oh, yes. Warning message. The thing Benji and I discussed after last week's meeting was basically, and Benji had the idea of, instead of being forwarded to the available translations page and getting, one second, where is another screenshot? Something like that over here with missing translations for one project, and the user has no actual call to action how to fix that missing translation. The fix is basically to check manually, to press that check manually button, and then you get basically to that page. And the idea is on the extend page, have a info message with check available translations for your language, in parentheses S languages, and that forwards directly, instead of site admin reports translations, to admin reports translations /check, and that way available updates or translation files are checked for, and that way the user directly gets an actionable state where the person is able to update the translation, in that case, install the German translation files. And that's basically the change to the recommendations and suggestions we came up during the meeting last week.
Okay, Ralph, for the sake of the recording, can you
Oh,
load?
sorry. Yeah.
I put the link to the issue in this chat.
Yeah, one second. Where's the chat? There it is. That was the wrong. It is issue number 2609256. Add warning message to import translations after enabling interface translation.
So I think a couple of things that Ralph and I realized after the recording is that, first of all, we should not test with Drupal 11.x, the development branch, because the 11.x version is recognized and there are no translations for 11.x. So you have to sort of start with the 10.2.x branch and make the changes from the merge request before testing. And the second thing is that once you've done that, clicking on the link that says check translations brings up this form where you can actually do something. You can download the translations. And so the two recommendations are one, in the message, give a link that has the same effect as clicking the check translations link, and two, change it from a warning message to an info message. Is that a fair summary, Ralph?
Yeah, and the microcopy changed as well.
All right. Yeah, because we're going to a different link, make the message check available translations.
The message before was the following. Oops. We're here. Go to available translation updates in order to download translations for your language. And it became a bit briefer. I just try to avoid updates because it still feels odd to me personally. Therefore, I voted for it is because basically at that point you don't have anything in regards of German interface translation installed at all, and therefore updates sounds technically wrong. But if any one of you has other opinions in that regard of the microcopy, then feel free to voice it.
Go ahead, Thomas.
Thanks. The only quibble I have is that the name of the page, at least, and I don't know if it's the title. I can't see because you're over the other window.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So it's just called translations in the URL, but it says available translation updates. And then so I mean, like, is it a follow-up issue? I mean, this says updates, or that's, yeah, I mean, the URL link in the warning message is pointing to something that talks about updates, but it doesn't in your suggestion. I mean, I like your suggestion. It just is a little bit confusing because this isn't called available translations. That's the only concern I have.
Okay, so you like the idea of doing the check, and we should still consider the exact text of the message. Should we make the word check part of the link? Does that make it clearer that we're actually performing an action and not just going to a page? The action we're performing is, go ahead.
Yeah. That makes it different than, and it would match things like run cron, etc. Check manually. Yeah. Because that then fits the pattern of no update available, information available, run cron, or check manually. So yeah, it would fit that pattern, though I would drop available translations to lowercase available, and that's really trivial. But I would do uppercase check, lowercase available translations, and then that would easily fit my expectations.
Right, and the point about the capitalization is that if we're going to capitalize it, we should make it the full page title, because the reason for capitalizing it is that it is a page title. And if we're not going to use the full page title, then you think we should not capitalize. And
Correct.
Aaron? Aaron, did you want to say something?
He put a message in chat.
Oh, yes, in general, the link should use the same text as the name of the page.
Does run cron link to a page called run cron, and check manually go to a page called check manually?
Certainly check manually does not go to a page with that title. It runs the check and then it reloads this page with the same title. And I think run cron manually, pretty sure that reloads the status page after running cron. Okay, so do we have consensus on making the link text check available translations with only the first letter capitalized? Get a thumbs up from Thomas.
Oops.
Right, and Ralph pasted the proposed text in the chat. Check available translations for your languages with the S in parentheses and only the first letter capitalized. Get a thumbs up from Ralph. Okay, and so we agree that we should do the check. We agree on the link text. I think it should be an info message or a status message rather than a warning message. Agree, disagree? Thumbs up from Aaron. Thumbs up from Thomas. And Ralph, I
And
think you said you didn't feel strongly.
yeah, no strong opinion in that regard from my end.
Okay. Great. So that was quick.
I'll finish the comment after the meeting and post on the issue then.
Great, thank you. Um, Let me share my screen again. So this was suggested in Slack. Users could not find the change password fields. It's issue 1259892. And Stephen Musgrave suggested in Slack that we have another look at this. Did already look at it. Oh my gosh, this is an old issue, isn't it? It's added back. There was a review in 2017. There was another review by me in 2021, a little more recent. Some further comments by Aaron and by me. And then just a few days ago, as Musgrave suggested, another look. Because it's a big change, and I guess there's been further work on it since then. So I haven't looked at this recently. Has the proposed resolution been updated? The proposed resolution from number 176 and 177, are those fairly current comments?
Those are from the usability review.
Okay.
I've applied the patch on a site here.
So okay, so why don't we first, before I give you the screen share, why don't I test it on my site? So I think the point is to go to your user profile and users could not find the change password fields. During usability tests, users logged into Drupal could not determine how to update their account password. They did not understand that the existing password and confirm password fields served the purpose of a password update. So there's the current password field up here, and there's the password field down here. And I guess the idea is that if you want to change your password, you have to type in your current password up here, and then the new password down here. And then having entered it once, you have to confirm it here. So any questions about the context of the issue, that this is a rather confusing form if that's what you want to do. Thomas?
So the only question I have is, was it ever explored in testing with users, just changing the wording from password to new password and confirm new password? Like that part, that solution, I didn't see if it was actually tested, or if they just went to wanting to go with the fix that they chose. Like, how did they land on the chosen fix?
I'm not aware of any such user testing. I don't know if they considered changing the label of this field.
Yeah.
Ralph, go ahead.
In regards of the label of the field, I have to look it up, but when we've discussed it before, I think I've already opened issues for update the label, make it more actionable, in particular for the installer, as well as on that page with different wordings to use verbs instead of just a noun like password. That is one thing, but I can look it up and post the links later in Slack. In regards of the issue itself, the reason I've also raised the point to bring to rediscuss it last week. The reason is because it's as you've seen, Benji, when you've entered the password, you have to re-enter the password. And there is also another issue. I can post the link, which got quite a lot of momentum the last few weeks, which is about hide and show the password field.
So this is issue 1259892.
Oops, that is the wrong one. Oops,
Oh,
one second. I posted the wrong issue. Apologies on that one. Then it is 2293803. Replace confirm password element with new password element with show hide functionality. And that way, you have to enter password only once, but you have the ability to show it.
Okay, there are, yes, a bunch of related issues. So why don't I let you share your screen now and you can demonstrate?
Yeah. I'm now on the edit page, and as you can see, you have the username, status, block rules, picture, content settings, local settings. Then you have the change password, which has the current password. And at the moment, you get the confirmed password as well, because I haven't tried to apply both patches at once, and I doubt that it will work out. And you have the change email option, where you again have the current password up at the top and the email address underneath. So those got moved out from the edit profile. That's basically what the patch is about. And just in the context, back then when we've discussed, I just remembered, is another way, but maybe something for the future. The following issue introduces submit confirmation step modal to form API for usability, which brought up the idea to have a confirmation step, not only for that edit profile page, but also for other aspects in Drupal, where you have a dialog modal where you have to enter a confirmation, either for deletion or for passwords and so forth. That one I just wanted to bring up again as well. Oops, that's where I wanted to go.
So a few quick comments. There are a lot of issues for moving things into modals, and I wonder whether we're going overboard on that. But to answer that question would not be quick, but maybe something to think about or talk about at a future meeting.
Yep.
Another, quick comment that leads to a longer discussion is that, as Ralph points out, there are a bunch of related issues, and we should really consider them holistically. We should consider them together. But we only have 10 minutes left, so let's see if we have any comments on the current issue, which is to separate out the change password and change email into separate forms, local tasks or sub-tabs on the user edit form. Go ahead, Aaron.
Thanks. I definitely support this change. I think either way, whether these move into modals in the future, or whether they stay as tabs, the fact that we're splitting up into different forms would make that easier anyway. But also, this user form we know can be quite overwhelming. There's a lot going on, so separating those out is a good thing. I would just make a couple of small wording suggestions to do with the tabs. So you go into the edit tab, and the tabs
Can
are
I
edit
ask you to
profiles.
hold? Can I ask you to hold off on the wording suggestions?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Ralph, what did you want to say?
I would also say something in regards of wording. So Aaron should go on and keep going. And the link I've posted in the chat was just in regards of the other comment Aaron made about the user profile in general, and just wanted to bring up the ideas issue again, where we've collected the different issues and to tackle that holistically.
Okay, and the general principle that Aaron often brings up is that a single form should not try to do too much, and that's why I am not at all surprised that Aaron is in favor of this change. Thomas, do you want to say something before we discuss the wording?
Yes, very briefly. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Conceptually, I'm trying to remember how this page. So I know that we have that password at the top of the old form, so without the patch, because all of the actions on the page essentially are protected. And so I know there are other sites, like if I'm using my Mac OS and I make a configuration change, you have to unlock it and enter your password to make changes to the form for something that is permissions related. That's the way I think of the unpatched version of this. And so the question I have is, are we re-entering that password to change the password, re-entering that password to change the email, re-entering the password to edit this profile? Because I don't see that. I'm assuming you can change the roles and status without entering the password. Is that a structural change? Like, should we need entering in the current password to make changes to the first tab? Is a more accurate question.
Yeah, these are separate forms. The main user profile form does not require you to re-enter your password. If you're logged in, then you can change anything on this form, just as currently you can change anything on the form, but with the exception of your password or your email address. But you can add a profile picture, you can change your contact settings, your locale settings without re-entering your password.
And we can change the role settings in the current form without entering a password.
Right. If you're an admin user, most users wouldn't have that option.
But that's one thing that made the current form so confusing. Sometimes you're required password, sometimes not.
Okay, thank you.
Right. And then the separate tabs are separate pages, separate forms. So re-entering your password on one does not have any effect on the other.
Do we need to reconfirm on change password and change email? Do we confirm the email address and confirm the new password, which is one of the old patterns?
I'm pretty sure that the password will have to be confirmed. I'm not sure about the email.
Could you try that, Ralph? Because I think Ralph's showing it.
And I guess the reason you need to confirm the password is that it's hidden. The email address is not hidden, so there's less reason for asking for confirmation there. Yeah.
And-
So that much has not changed. It's just been moved to a new form.
Okay, so the change, I missed the change password. Did you do that, Ralph?
Yeah.
Edit? Yeah.
No, I just entered the current password, changed the email address, and then hit save, and the email changed successfully.
Could you just do it for password? That's the primary.
Yeah, that's the currently for the current patch in that way. Make it admin.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. And with the other patch apply, with that, where is it? With that issue applied, the confirm password would be striked and not available anymore, and just a single password field where you're able to hide and show and just enter the new password.
Okay, so we have just a few minutes left. So Aaron, what changes do you want to make to the wording?
Thanks. Yeah, so I would suggest a couple things. One, that we don't repeat the word edit profile, like edit with the profile tab. And I'm also not sure if like profile is the correct word here. It's more like and again, maybe we want to revisit this next week when I'm not here. But maybe we need a better word than profile, because that could be confusing if, for instance, you install the profile module and you end up with a separate profile tab. So maybe something like account details is quite a common one. Something about account perhaps. And again, thinking about the title on that page there is just the username. Maybe that's something that needs to be addressed, but that could be a follow-up issue. Again, with a sort of similar pattern to what we were doing with field UI stuff. And I'd also say change password, change email. Again, do we need the word change? I'm not sure. Does the email need to be email address? Because email its own change email, that could be like, am I changing the email address? Am I changing my email preferences? Like, do we want that tab to be more open so contrib modules can add more things? Probably not, because it is specific to change the email address. So maybe something like email address. And again, do we need the word change? And also I would swap the order, so I'd have email then password, because I think like conceptually a lot of times when you think about logging into a site, for instance, you put your email then your password. So those are just kind of my suggestions, but where we're up against the hour, so I'm happy to sort of for us to continue the conversation next week. And who knows, maybe I will be here. Maybe I'll be so fear of missing out that I'd join for my holiday in the Canary Islands. We'll see.
Yeah, I certainly agree that with the main tab being edit, the sub-tabs don't need to say edit nor change.
Yeah, and also we should, whatever they say, it should be a consistent pattern. So
Yes.
if one is edit profile, the other should say edit password. Like, but then as you said, we don't need those extra words there. Oh, and I see if you go to change password, the title is now change
edit.
password. Okay, so maybe we need to address that as part of the issue then, because I wouldn't want to make it more confusing. So,
but if you take a look at the URL at the top, it's edit pass instead of change.
Oh yeah, and maybe like the URLs should be like edits. Oh, I see, like user1 edit dash pass. Okay, because normally we put like we go another level with the subtabs, so like it would be edit slash email, edit slash password. But that's more of an implementation thing than a
Okay.
usability thing.
And we have 1 more minute. Anything else you wanted to mention, Ralph?
That was basically the same point I wanted to make in regards of edit and edit profile. There I'm +1, what Aaron said, and also the other points he made.
Okay. All right. Who wants to leave a comment on the issue that that we are generally in favor of the change and just want to have time to reconsider the URLs and the order and labeling of the tabs? Who wants to leave that comment? Okay, I guess I can do that. Great, thanks all for coming. Have a happy new year, and we may not see Aaron for a while, but I expect I'll see the rest of you in the new year.
Benji, I'll leave the message. I just needed to get I was sorry, my mute was stuck. I didn't want you to have to do that. I'm just that I have the right issue. If you have 1 second.
Okay, well, we can trade links in Slack.
Okay. Thanks everyone. Have a good new year.
Likewise, have a good new year and a good vacation on the Canaries.
Yeah.
Aaron.
If nothing else, see you in February.
Okay,
Happy holidays. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.